2016 adds up to 9, which governs what?
Scorpio.
Thank you. And that's what she is.
She's a
Scorpio.
That's right.
All right? And everything about her was a 9. Her daughter Hillary was born on the 27th. Can y'all know whose hand that is, right? That's the president of, that's the most perfect hand I have seen in every sense. Well developed, long fingers, okay, especially the pinky. Because the pinky governs your ability to talk and be eloquent in speech and whatnot. Very long, those his lines, that's his thumb right there, and then you'll see the other picture next. See how well developed his hand is? And notice how that thumb just sticks out.
Yeah.
See? Yeah, see, so you know right away this is a person that has a dominant personality. He gonna get your attention.
And he's a Leo.
Yeah, and a Leo on top of that. And notice how well developed his hands are. He's got slight bulges. Okay, so that means he thinks first before he jumps into the situation. And notice how widely separated his headline is from his lifeline, which means he's always had a mind of his own. All right, next. Condoleezza Rice. Notice how she keeps the thumb close.
She's smart.
It's almost like sometimes you're hiding something. Maybe that weapons of mass destruction didn't exist. Okay.
What sign is she, Lloyd?
Scorpio. Yeah. She is November 14th. And Bush's wife was born November 4th, and he's a 6th. I don't know how they got along together, but anyway.
Exactly. Money.
Yeah, money. Yeah, you're right about that. Now, here's another picture of her under another set of circumstances. Notice how her hands are open. Now, see? See? But the thumbs are more out now, so she's in a situation where she's now more open to talk. But whatever situation she was like that, I ain't telling y'all nothing.
That's the clone.
I'm waiting if you want to know nothing.
That's the clone.
Yeah. Next. Now, Mikhail Gorbachev, March the 2nd, and Fidel Castro, born August the 16th. Notice they have totally different hands. Notice how Mikhail Gorbachev's hands are more longer, slimmer, where the fleshy parts under Fidel Castro's hands are called mounts. That's a whole nother thing, how well developed your mounts are, the fleshy parts underneath your hands. Alrighty? And then, if I can do this again, we'll talk about marriage line, children, all that stuff. To me, whenever I looked at Gorbachev, he always had the shape of Africa on his forehead. To me. Always looked at that as Africa. I'm sorry, that's me. That's me. So that boy don't know where he came from.
Sure.
Alright?
Enough of that.
Okay, next.
No.
Now this is Mao Zedong. I mean, not Mao Zedong, but Kim Jong-il. Yes. He's born January the 8th.
Oh, wow.
Here's what's interesting. I'm born February 16th. His dad was born February 16th. My closest son is January the 8th, and he chose him to lead, which is January the 8th. But notice he has short fingers, and notice which phalange seems to be the thickest. And the bottom means material things. Cars, food, clothes, luxury, houses, so and so. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying that's where his preference will lead. But then again, you must understand, he is being as true to himself as you are being true to yourself. Okay? So what you want to do is be able to understand the person that comes before you. Next thing.
Noble Drew Ali born January 8th.
Now that's Beyonce. Notice how slender and pointy her fingers are, which means things more creative and artistic. Notice how her thumb is. She's got a large thumb, but it is pointed, not square, which leans toward impulsiveness, creative, artistic types of things. Next.
September 4th.
Now look at Serena's hand. Totally different. It ain't pointy. She's got some bulges up in there. You know what I'm saying? She's, and you can see her phalange is more practical. Alrighty? And you can see her three lines, the lifeline, the headline, and the heart line. Next. Now, which world do you think this guy lives in? Looking at the phalanges, does he live in the mental world, the practical world, or the material world? Yeah, this is the hand of Damon Dash. If anybody knows about Damon Dash, he definitely spent more than, He's a Taurus 3. So very materialistic. These are the hands of Tom Cruise, but look how big his thumbs are. How his thumbs stick out. Okay? Yeah, but see, because we're not trained to look at a hand other than to shake it, you know what I'm saying, or other little things, we don't, but metaphysically, everything has a metaphysical component to it. Numbers, signs, hands, you know, all that stuff. That's some things. R. Kelly. All right? Notice how wide his headline is separated. All right? I try to pick out some people. You know what I'm saying? So, right in here. Okay? Notice he has bulges on the second fingers, which says maturity is setting in. And it has nothing to do with age as so much as life's experience that you get. That's all it is. That's all it is. This country got us so caught up that if you were a day older, you got to be old. That's not true. Now, here's what's interesting. There's a line that's going up the center of his hand. That line is called the line of fate, which denotes your worldly success, your worldly adventure, how you do in the world. Remember, I said the headline is what age? What age is the headline?
35.
He's now 36. So I would say from now on, he's going to have to watch his career. So about 2 or 3 years from now, you may say, whatever happened to Usher? Because his fate line stopped right there in his 35th birthday. And he just turned 36 back in October. Okay, unusual hands. Unusual hands in the way of the markings, the way they look. Go ahead, Simon. Yeah, well, see, notice, okay, now this is a very interesting hand here. For a woman, a client I have, she has long fingers, which means requiring a lot of details. She has a nice large thumb, but if you notice on the next one, Simon, you see that right there, that line in the middle of the headline? No, that's a hard line. That line right there. Notice how that little bulge came out? That in palmistry is called an eyelid. That is never a good sign. And wherever you find that indication, and that's a huge one. That's a huge one. I'll show you another one at the very last slide. That's a huge one. So it shows me at some point in time there will be a serious challenge of mental decisions she's going to have to make. This is anybody. And so that's why I'm telling you, you know, we can all front by appearances and style and smelling good and looking good. I look at these hands. I'm sorry. This is what I'm looking at.
Lloyd, suppose you have an island right around here. Look on around there.
Oh, that means you get off to a very rocky start. And in fact, I'm going to show you something that's related similar to that.
I got 2 of them.
Well, let me say this. The first thing is, don't judge your own hands. It's like, no, seriously. Like I'll be under the weather, I think I got the worst thing going. You know, we tend to do that. I think it's part of the human nature process. So I've learned, don't play doctor with myself. Go to the damn doctor. Excuse me, young lady. Go to the doctor, you know what I'm saying, and find out. Let it be efficient. But it's very hard to make adjustment. Now this is unusual in the sense it's very, very slim. Notice how slender the hands are. That's too slender. That tells me hard physical labor would definitely not be her thing. She would, and she would not think before doing something. It's not that she wouldn't think, but she's not going to go into specifics. She'll be more impulsive, going which way the feeling is blowing and stuff like that. But not only that, you see her lifeline going around, but look at her headline, almost as if it disappears under the second finger around about 25. Yeah. And her heart line is chained. Okay? Now let me show you the next picture of it. That's her right hand. Did I do it? Yeah. And see how it's not normal in that sense. And when I say that, I'm not saying it's got to be normal, like abnormal, like bad, but I've just learned how to tell people what is not normal. If my nose is over here, that's not normal. Simple. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't know what the problem is or how we're going to fix it, but the point is, I think, understanding. Go ahead, Simon. And this one you can see how the line is merged and stuff like that. Instead of it kind of like have a headline, then it dips with another headline. This is not, and then the thumb is, notice, is close to the hand too. Long fingers, okay, long thumb, very long will though. See how long her first nail thumb is, nail phalange? Real long versus the bottom one. Okay, good, next. And this is her right hand. And you see how our headline went off course. The headline should either go slightly sloping or curving down. Anytime it goes any other place, it's not going the way it's supposed to. All right, next, Simon. And see how that one is? It's kind of started when, where's the heart line? The heart line and the lifeline, I don't see three. But notice they all tend to have long fingers. Okay? Next. And that's her right hand. And it's the same. You can see the lifeline going around, but the headline and the heart line. Now, see that little semicircle underneath the fingers right there? Just above that?
Right here?
That's called the girdle of Venus, which adds more sensuality to the person. All right? Yes. Yeah, you said, oh, okay, take a note, Tom. Okay. Go ahead. Now, this is the hand now. This is a perfect match because both hands ideally should be different. The left hand is what you inherit from your mom and dad. The right hand is what you develop for yourself. So therefore, ideally, no, your right and your left should be slightly different. I'm not talking about bigger, longer. When you're looking at the lines, you can look at, if you look at the left hand over there, you see that she has a lifeline going around, the headline coming down, the heart line underneath there. But then here in her right hand, the headline is a break. That's not good when there's a break. That means either an accident to the head or a mental challenge where she might be out of it a bit. Okay, and she would have to be careful. And notice that she has slender fingers with no bulges as such. Go ahead, Simon. Now, this is a hand of a young man I met. See how widely separated the headline is? That ideally the headline and the lifeline should be a little closer. The wider it is, the more impulsive. That means you're not wanting to listen to anybody. And plus, not only that, but the hands are very long and slender too. All right, but this person is about 24, 25. Okay? Now let me show you his left hand. Right hand. See that? Goes straight across. So that tells me people like that would sometimes have a challenge separating the mental from the emotional. And then he's got a slight girdle of Venus underneath there. All right? Okay, next, Simon. Now this guy here, Evers, was the chief of WorldCom. All righty? And he had ripped them off $140 billion. You know he posted bail for $50,000? You let you and me rip somebody off for $140 billion and see if we can get out of jail for close to $50 off. Okay? This is what I'm saying. Okay? Yeah. So that's it. But notice, and what they're doing now is they're taking palm prints. Now, not just your fingerprints, but your whole hand. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, hold, Simon. Oh, I need to go back a second. Okay, right. Now, okay, good. So you can click, Simon, so we'll do the next one.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, this is a hand of Ted Bundy, the killer, who had murdered all those people. And normally there are afflictions and stuff like that. And notice some of his fingers are twisted or crooked, which is normally not a good indicator, too. All right? Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you, man. You're the only number works, man. See the finger right there? That's kind of crooked. Even his Saturn finger is kind of crooked. Now the first finger is naturally straight, but these last three are crooked. Okay. Next, Simon. Now this is a person with actually 5 fingers.
What?
They got 10 fingers.
What?
Literally. Literally. Yeah, you gotta look. Now, here's my question, folks. Now, here's my question. If this is Jupiter, okay. If this is Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, and Mercury, what would this become to me? See, this is, you know, I hadn't thought about that. Right, but the moon is over here. Venus is over here. Upper Mars, lower Mars is over there. It's Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, and Mercury as a rule.
Use the pointer.
Excuse me. Thank you.
That red part.
Yeah, it's Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, Mercury. So what would that be? Yeah, but I've seen you where they had extra finger, but not formed well like that.
Right.
Not like that. I haven't seen it formed like that. Okay, and it looks absolutely normal.
Normal hand.
Yes, you see how you begin to look at everybody. Everybody got their uniqueness.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so I love being on the train, just watching people's hands, how they doing, their fingernails. Okay? Yeah. Next.
Yes, sir.
Now that's another one. And that's not a thing. That's why I got this section called Unusual Hands to show you that there are oddities in that world, right? Right.
You still haven't figured out what the last finger is.
No, I'll figure it out though. No, a minute. I don't work out something. I think you said Pluto.
Yeah, I said
Yeah. You said Mars? That's interesting because the Scorpio, which is now assigned to Pluto, was actually ruled by Mars, the original ruler. Love your hair, by the way.
Can I ask you a question?
Huh?
It might seem odd to ask this question. Is there any way, especially for women, if a woman was to look at a man's hand and tell whether he was a sexual predator? Or
You know, I hadn't thought of that. But I do have a book on criminal hands, and I'm going to take some pictures. We're going to look at that. At least I'm going to do the research part right now. Thank you. Now, that's a great question. Because they got a whole lot of people not rap to check nowadays.
right. Somebody named Cosby.
Now here's the thing with this one. Normally, the line should go in a certain direction. If you look at, here's the point. The line is coming around the ball of the hand, that's exactly where it should be. That's the lifeline. Then the headline, first of all, because it's tied down like that, it means an extremely sensitive beginning. Extremely sensitive. Not only that, but then the headline goes off its course. It's almost as if it takes a dive.
Blue.
And what it simply means is this person, to me, would have potential suicide tendencies. And I was saying in a way that, you know, they have to understand. I mean, because the one thing about me is I try to be very honest. I will not take your money and use up your valuable time with no nonsense. I will not do that to you. Plus, you know what I look like. Okay? So I will not do that to you. Yes, that's right. And so the headline went off its course. And so that tells me as she's gotten older, her imaginations would really get carried away. Okay? Next time. Now this is the hand of Adolf Hitler. Now let me tell you this. If I didn't know the name and looked at the hand, I could tell you that whoever this person is, they would meet with a very bad end. First of all, if you look at the lifeline, the lifeline all of a sudden just stops right there. But it ends in a cross. That is never a good mark in palmistry. Never. The only time an X is worth anything is unless it's in the first, under the mouth of Jupiter. That's the only position.
Where's the cross?
Right there. See the little cross right there. And that ends about his 56th birthday, and that's exactly when he died, at age 56. Okay? Then, not only that, but if you look at the fate line that goes up, it goes not only way up, but it also goes into the finger. And the rule is when the fate line goes all the way up, it's supposed to stop or maybe lean to the left or to the right of one of the fingers. But when it goes up into the finger itself, it means the person goes too far. Wow. They've gone too far. They've taken it to extreme. And so although he died in the 1940s, 1945, I think it was, April 30th of 1945 to be exact, they still talk about his name, but not with no love.